Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 380 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Robby Besner. Wow, what a guy. And he's got a really cool company that he started. But the reason he started it, I'm going to let him tell you the story of his daughter and what went on with her that led to what he's doing now. Now, I hope you didn't forget from listening to us to download a copy of our automation ebook. It's yours free for listening to the show. It's called How to Automate Your Business, the 7-figure guide of handling more customers without pulling your hair out. And we figured it out one time. Just one of the tips in this book has saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. Definitely saved me carpal tunnel. It's yours free for listening to the show. Pick it up at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Screwthecommute.com/automate free. And while you're over there, pick up a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. You can put us on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. Now, how would you like to hear your own voice here on Screw the Commute? Well, if the show's helped you out at all in your business or given you ideas to help you start a business, we want to hear about it. Visit screwthecommute.com. Look for a little blue sidebar that says send a voicemail. Click on it, talk into your phone or computer, tell me how the show's helped you, and hey, also put your website in there because we'll give you a big shout out on a future episode of Screw the Commute. All right, folks, I know everybody is hurting with this pandemic. It's crazy out there. The kids are supposed to go to school one day and then they call you up or text you, no, don't go to school. The kids are going to catch on fire, whatever kind of stuff they're sticking at you. And then you got to quit your job or you don't even have a job to watch the kids at home fool around on a computer. I mean, it's just a crazy situation out there. Well, for over 22 years, I've been railing against this. I want you to be able to sell stuff from home, make a living from home, screw the commute. That's how the genesis of this podcast is. I have been screwing the commute for 44 years, okay, long before the internet came along, and it allows you to live 2 or 3 lives, but especially now with the atmosphere in the world, if you could be selling from home, you wouldn't be going crazy about paying the mortgage and paying the rent and the car payments and quitting your job to watch the kids fumble around on Zoom. So check it out. 12 years ago, I made a formal commitment to get licensed, the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country, certified to operate by SCHEV, the State Council on Higher Education in Virginia. But you don't have to live in Virginia. It's good quality distance learning. And the skills that you learn are in high demand. We have people making money a couple months into the school, long before they graduate. So check it out at imtcva.org. And a little later, I'll tell you how, if you're in my mentor program, you can get a scholarship that you can either use yourself or gift to someone. And I'll tell you what, it'd be the best legacy gift you could ever gift to a young person. So they're not going into massive debt in a 4-year college where all they do is learn how to protest. And then they compete for jobs at Starbucks with their MBAs. So we don't want that around here. All right, let's get to the main event. Robby, as he likes to be called, Besner, he's the Chief Science Officer and device developer and co-founder of a company called Therasage. They're the makers of the premier infrared healing products in the world. They're recognized as the leader in integrated infrared technology. Robby, are you ready to screw the commute?
Of course I am.
I know, you've been doing it for a while. Oh, it's so good to have you here. We were introduced by Kerry Jack, another podcast guy and a really wonderful guy, and I'm so glad he hooked us up because I've been looking at your website and wow, you have some really I was going to say killer stuff, but it's actually opposite of that. It's putting life into people. So tell us about Therasage.
Well, we're a company that's founded on about 22 years ago. We started our journey mostly born, it was sort of that pain to purpose scenario that you hear about. I have a pre-medical background, engineering and business also. And what happened was my oldest child, my daughter, at probably early teens, 12 to 15, contracted Lyme disease. Now,
That
22 years ago, Lyme was somewhat at its infancy. There weren't that many Lyme literate doctors available as resources, but we found the one that was considered the top-notch doctor in the field. Of course, we live in South Florida, and he was positioned in out on Long Island, up in New York State.
Now let me ask you though, at the beginning, did you know it was Lyme disease, or did you go a while before they even figured that out?
Actually, a long time without figuring it out. We
Oh,
found out as way back then because Lyme again was in its infancies, and my daughter was experiencing abdominal pain, which was diagnosed as endometriosis. We took her and she had a small procedure done and
wait,
was
excuse me, was that endometriosis a misdiagnosis?
no, she had that.
Oh, she did have that. Okay. But I was
Right.
wondering, what were the symptoms of Lyme disease before you knew it was Lyme disease?
Well, she was experiencing basic general body pain, and she was also having some challenges with her normal monthly
Mm-hmm.
menstrual cycle and things like that. But that's not necessarily uncommon for teenagers or for people to go through. That wasn't anything that was necessarily alarming. The abdominal pain was something that was uh, sort of into the chronic phase for her. So we investigated that symptom, discovered that she did have endometriosis, sent her to a surgical center for a small procedure to be done, which she was supposed to fully recover and be in no pain within 2 months. And 3 months in, she's still experiencing pain that might have even dialed up a little more. When we dove in deeper with that surgical group, they said to us, well, 99% of the women that still experience pain after this procedure have Lyme disease.
Huh.
Lyme really wasn't ever on our radar. We live in South Florida. And so the Lyme tri-state area, Connecticut, New York, and Vermont, or some three states that are up in that area, are predominant where purportedly it started and was the epicenter again 22 years ago. So we weren't really thinking about Lyme. In fact, in South Florida, there were very few Lyme literate doctors. The infectious disease areas of various different medical centers here really didn't have a lot of knowledge about Lyme disease and so forth. And as you generously sort of pointed out subtly, Lyme mimics many other kinds of diseases and in terms of the symptoms. And so that's part of the problem with Lyme in general, is that it's misdiagnosed often because it mimics neurological challenges like MS or PD and so forth. And so with that, it's Lyme has gone on for a long time, possibly been prevalent for a long time, being misdiagnosed. So that's probably the worst scenario you can think of, Tom, because you got a wrong diagnosis. So the doctor is actually labeling you with a diagnosis that's wrong. They're treating you for the wrong diagnosis, and they're also not treating you for what you do have. So
Right.
it's probably the worst perfect storm you
Now,
can imagine if
have
you think
have
about
they
it.
gotten better at it now?
Yeah. There's been a lot of advancements. I only wish I knew now what back then, because I could have been a little bit more helpful in my daughter and helping her with her own challenges and so forth.
So you went on a quest to help her, right?
Yeah, that kind of was the whole idea behind it. I was thinking about two things. One, and many people out there, even listening today, could probably relate to this. You're not alone with your health challenge. You've got your support systems, if you're lucky, like your immediate family and friends around you. And for us, we had to export the professional work. So in other words, I was every 6 weeks or so, I was going up to New York with my daughter we'd spend a couple of days in the city enjoying a movie or a show or a good dinner. My feeling back then, and I still feel it now, is that I didn't want my daughter to be somewhat confined or her life be defined by her diagnosis, because 8 out of 10 diagnoses are wrong anyway. Mostly because doctors don't care enough these days to ask the right questions, so they don't get it right from the get-go. But that is a label that's carried with you, and sometimes people are debilitated just by the label alone. And I didn't want my daughter's memory of her adolescence and childhood to be surrounded around her chronic illness. And so we would travel up to New York, we would get treated, we'd get a little tweak in her protocol, come back down to Florida, had to deal with another practitioner here that was sort of an extension of the primary doctor in New York to be able to get the medications and things that we needed dispensed here in Florida. So there were a lot of different moving parts or plates to that dynamic, as you can imagine. But mostly what came from that was my understanding that basically you see your practitioner maybe, 0.001% of the time, but 99.999% of the time you're managing your own healthcare for yourself personally and or with your support systems, locally. And that made me think about basically at that time what my daughter's main symptoms were, which were body pain. She was experiencing cognitive challenges. She was experiencing what I considered high levels of toxicity and or inflammation. And from that, with my medical background, I focused on toxicity, the most efficient ways to detoxify. There were the invasive kinds like dialysis, and then less invasive, which were certain kinds of like supplementation that would cause a toxin to purge, a chelate from your cell or from your tissue. And then I discovered that there are certain frequencies of sunlight that will mobilize all your toxins in your body. That was the infrared spectrum. That really floated my boat, so to speak. And so understanding that, I then took a look at what available devices an individual in the country could buy that had infrared technology, and there virtually were none.
What year was this, roughly?
22 years ago. So figure like late 1990, 98, 97, somewhere around there. And so what I did know was that infrared technology was used by sports medicine doctors, mostly along with other kinds of cocktails, to enhance lower a player's pain from an injury and also expedite their healing. And so that intrigued me. But mostly I was challenged with the fact that there weren't any available devices. And so I did some research. I found 65 factories in China, spent 7 weeks over there, going from factory to factory to find 3 and then down to 1 that I wanted to work with to develop my own devices, mostly just for personal use. What happened from that was that my daughter experienced some pretty good success from it. And her main doctor, who's probably considered now the top in the field, saw her success, asked if we could start to develop some of these devices for him and his Lyme patients. His practice was almost 100% Lyme. I said, sure, why not? If it's helping Julia, then why not try to help other people? And that really was the genesis of Therasage, my company.
Wow, what a story! And now you have, how many products do you have now?
We have 22 active SKUs. Mostly it's all about integrated full spectrum infrared frequencies. Our devices are credentialed with the FDA as Class 2 medical. That means we have 510Ks. And the reason why I took that route was because basically initially for the first 15 years of our company, our main sort of delivery system was the medical model. That means that I do my research, I develop the device, then I meet up with a doctor, practitioner, clinic, hospital, and so forth. I train the staff as to how to integrate our devices into their normal flow of their practice, their protocols. So I need to understand what their practice is about, and then I need to understand how to integrate what we're doing with them, not take the place of the practitioner, but to enhance the efficacy of what they're already doing. And so that was my main way of delivering our technology to the general public, because our great goal was to basically get our technology into every household in America. And what I thought was, if a practitioner had an active practice and they saw, let's say, 10,000 patients a year, and I taught them how to improve their own performance with our technology, then in a sense, I might be touching 10,000 lives. And so the first phase would be to go through the practitioner, and then phase two, the practitioner pairs our technology with theirs. They get a enhanced experience. So everybody wins. The patient gets a better health plan. The doctor feels more fulfilled because actually their own practice is thriving and their own performance is then enhanced. Then the higher end, Tom, and I know you could appreciate this because you're all about leveraging. Then that patient, which is sort of a common person, they're then telling their friends about what an amazing response they're getting from this practitioner and about our technology. And that leaves that second filial, a second relationship, to do one of two things: either search for us on the internet and or go to that practitioner to try to get some of our products and get the same kind of health performance enhancement. And so that has really been an amazing sort of dynamic that we've tapped into, that we have taken on and utilized in many levels. One, on the simple system that I just mentioned, and then we dial that up a little more because I've been spending the last 15 years or more at these medical conventions, getting on stage, talking to anywhere between 30 to 50 to 200 practitioners. We did last November, I was invited to a forum in Beijing, and I spoke to in front of maybe 700 practitioners there in China.
Now tell people what these devices are, or what they're like. Are they like heating pads? What are they?
Well, what we're known for right now, and we're probably considered number one in the world in this particular device, is a portable infrared sauna.
Portable?
Portable, yeah. It folds up. It weighs about 28 pounds.
Oh, wow.
You can put it in a carrying case. In the carrying case, it's sort of about the size of a massage table, as you can imagine. And then it virtually takes up no space. You can unfold it in about a minute, set it up. And when you fold it up, it takes another minute or so to do that. I'm not joking when I say a minute, virtually a minute. And then it could fit in your closet under the bed. It's very space saving for those who have a challenge with space. So,
and you just plug them in. These are 110.
Well, we make everything we make in 110. We also make in 220, so that we are now exporting to 11 countries outside the U.S.
Wow.
But yes, they are 110, and you don't need any special electricity. In fact, they're very economic. The portable sauna, based on the FP&L, which is the utility company in South Florida, costs 7.5 cents per hour to drive.
Wow.
So it virtually is the most efficient way to deliver heat to the body, and actually even heat to a room.
So this is one person sits in this thing, or what do they do?
Yeah. It's a soft cabin. It looks like something like what would come out of an episode in I Love Lucy. Your head pops out, the zippers come up, and you can pop your hands out so you can multitask. And my wife, when she does the sauna, she's got a little keyboard stand. She likes to answer the mail from many of our customers.
How long do people stay in it?
Well, for the average person, just I want to feel good every single day type of thing, it's probably 30 minutes. When you're we've got protocols. Part of our lineage, or part of the things that we do, is we don't feel that here as sort of a mission statement. We don't feel it's good enough just to deliver a really great device. We want to deliver a full experience. That means that we take responsibility when FedEx and UPS mess up, and so we've got a system for that, and personnel, and also we've developed a lot of the integrated health protocols. So how do you get this device and actually get the most out of it? And so we're super, super, super dialed into the end user and what's best for them, because we lived that side of the equation for so long
Right,
with my
right.
daughter's health.
All right, now
And so we're very sensitive to that.
you said you had 22 different SKUs. So what other types of products do you have besides that?
Well, the sauna comes in two different models, a regular and a souped up model that we call the Thera 360 Plus. And then we have a line of 5 different size healing pads using the same technology. So where the infrared sauna, you're sitting in this cabin and you're basically surrounded 360 degrees. You're bathing in these, amazingly healing infrared full spectrum frequencies.
Okay.
The healing pad is more like so that would be more like a floodlight, where the healing pad is more like a spotlight, where
Mhm.
you can bring the same technology directly to an organ that needs healing, or a muscle group that might need healing, or a joint that's giving you some challenges and so forth. And so they really are sister brother kinds of technology, because where the sauna you'd be in for 30 minutes, the healing pad you could use for hours on end. And our customers and patients do that. So, if you're one that has chronic back pain and you throw this pad on within 5 or 6 minutes, you can reduce that pain without using an opiate. I know they're phasing opiates out, but when they were prevalent and the pain doctors were thriving, this type of technology and our healing pads is really the answer to a non-drug natural way to heal. Certainly lower pain thresholds, but that's, I guess, phase one is to do that, because so we can reduce the swelling, we can improve circulation and oxygen to the area that you're suffering the injury. But so first thing we do is we lower the pain. The second thing we do, why we call it a healing pad, is we actually can reverse a health challenge, a chronic health challenge as well.
Wow. So now, besides the really good things you're doing for people health wise, you've taken an angle on on your company that I don't see that often, and I interview lots of people. You claim that you don't claim to be green; you are green, and you actually have codes of ethical conduct in your company. Tell us about that.
Okay, it's great. Well, it actually just comes from years of experience in business, but also I'm pretty sensitive. Like, it's as good as I am in what I do. Uh, I set intentions in everything I do, but I'm a very active listener. And so it's not enough just to make a good device, but you really need to be tapped into the feedback that you get. And I learn more, I feel, from my customers, my doctors, and the patients that we work with very actively. I hope they learn from me, but I also learn a hell of a lot from them.
Hmm.
We like to surround ourselves with like-minded people, Tom. I'm sure you can appreciate that.
Yep.
We make money at what we do, but we keep our margins very low so that our pricing is very affordable. And that also comes off the back of our experience with my daughter. At some points, her medication and traveling and doctor's fees and so forth were in excess of $25,000 a month. So knowing that and being super sensitive to the Lyme community, and Lyme being in, even though it's not talked about, it's clearly in pandemic proportions in the country, is one of those ones that, we really are very sensitive to the other families out there that are experiencing these drains on their economics. And you probably know these stats better than me, but most bankruptcies in America are caused by health challenges, and
Yeah.
the coverages that they think they're being covered by their insurances, or they don't have insurance at all, then they've got the challenge. And next to putting a roof over their heads and putting food on the table, healthcare is probably the number 3 or in the top 5 of people's consciousnesses and cares and concerns. And so we don't really work with people that we find are out of integrity. And we've started relationships in good faith and then discover along the road somewhere. And we actually put out a couple little speed bumps in the road, Tom, and I'm sure you probably do the same thing when you meet relationships, just to protect yourself over the years, just to see how well the answers or the other side of the table will respond to the little bump in the road. And we take notice of that. And that's one of our sayings here: we notice what we notice. So, so in that way, we kind of create a scenario where we keep culling and screening and bringing to our inner circles the people that support us, that think like us. They don't have, mostly they complement our thinking in terms of their skill sets and or their bodies of work, but we want to make sure that they come from a place of integrity, that it's not about the money, it's about, like we feel, it's about healing and helping people first. And when we've taken that position, the money always follows somewhere there. And so we're not really focusing on money and the financial benefits. We're really focusing on the good of people and the sense of abundance and spreading the love. I don't want to be corny about it, but that's one of the things that we feel is super important.
Yeah, and the green stuff, I know when I was looking into infrared stuff in the past, I was like scared to death. They said, oh, you get this cheap crap and it's made with toxic chemicals and you're going to, like I said, burst into flames or something. So you say you're really green. What do you mean by that?
Well, we go beyond. Like, there are certain requirements that FDA asks for. Like, all of our devices are actually we bring in third-party consultants. So it's not just an in-house perception and belief. We actually outsource to what we feel are considered the highest end of all of the third-party consultants. So for instance, when it comes to electrical testing, our devices, we bring in UL Laboratories. When it comes to biotoxicity, we contract with a group called NAMSA. It's an acronym for something I don't even know what it stands for, but basically they're kind of the UL of material testing, so that some of these things are, by the way, required by FDA, but most of the things that we do are actually a higher standard than FDA. Even though FDA is considered the highest standard in the world for medical devices, we actually dial it up even more, because the people that we're treating, the end people, I mean, even though we're going for the main public, Tom, mostly our focus for the last, I'd say at least 15 years, has been on the chronically challenged people: Lyme, cancer, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, all the chronic challenges out there, autoimmune diseases. And then, kind of like the concept behind that was, if I can help someone that has that challenge, and it's really easy to really shift and move the needle on someone with chronic ailment for us. The real challenge, and actually the people that I'm enjoying the most these days, is the optimal health category and that demographic, because these are people that are well and healthy now, and they just want to stay well and healthy. They don't really want to get sucked into that, big pharma circle, go to the doctor, get some medication, mask the pain, keep it masked long enough until you have to go to the surgeon, then it's got to be cut out, then they make mistakes, and now you're all messed up for the rest of your life. Our goal is to keep you healthy, or get you healthy, so that you actually can realize what I believe is part of the reasons why we're here in Earth. I call it Earth Camp, why we're here on Earth. And that's to find our purpose, find our passion, find our bliss, make a contribution to your family, your church, the things you love, live out your life to your fullest, and be as healthy and as well all the way to the end.
It's a beautiful, beautiful goal. So tell people how they get a hold of you, how they check out the products.
Well, we have the main way is through our website, www.therasage.com, or you can call our toll-free 888-416-4441, or you can actually email us at info at Therasage, spelled THERASAGE.com. Those are probably the best ways.
All right, folks, we'll have all that in the show notes for you, Therasage.com. We'll have his toll-free number and the email address, and the products are absolutely fantastic. They came recommended to me by someone I trust quite a bit. So thanks so much for coming on, Robby.
Tom, it was a pleasure. Love talking to you. Love your audience, and anything we can do to try to just elevate awareness change you started off earlier today talking about COVID, and it's really an interesting dynamic because people in a heartbeat, everybody's lives have been affected here in the country, actually globally, but certainly the US seems to be leading in its inability to take command of and have a unified front as to how we're going to manage this challenge. So this morning I was listening to the news and they said, there's a billion 3 people out there in the world that are COVID free, countries that have no challenges whatsoever. And then we're dealing with our challenges here. And so, maybe the light at the end of the tunnel and the blessing here is that it was a real wake-up call for all of us to have an opportunity to really take a look at where we were going and who we are, and bring us closer to our families and closer to the real truths about what we can do in keeping the integrity of our own health and wellness and communities intact. And I hope that we're just a small part of making that happen. And I certainly appreciate the opportunity today to meet with you and meet with all your viewers.
Really, really great. And Julia lives on, put it that way. So
yes, that's true.
So thanks, everybody, for checking in. I promised you at the beginning, I'd tell you how you could get a scholarship to the school. Well, if you're in my mentor program, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, it includes a scholarship to the school that you can use yourself for extra training or gift to somebody else. So you can check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. Make sure you check our show notes, visit Therasage, and check out the great and the leading infrared technology in the world. All right, we'll catch you all in the next episode. See you later.